welcome to my kitchen. My name is Sarah Manaresi, for those of you who don't know me. Today I am making shortbread cookies, which are a traditional cookie in my family for the Christmas season. My grandmother makes them every year, but she is now 93 or so, and she says her cookie days are over. And so it's become a tradition for me to make them and to send them to my family. Because everyone loves them. And I really wish my kids were here to do this with me right now. But right before I said, hey, it's time to make the cookies, their friends rang the doorbell. And so they're outside playing because I couldn't guilt them into making them with me. So this is really easy to make. And I'd love my kids to prove that. But they have their own agenda. And, well, here I am. So anyway, in my mixer, I have 2 sticks of butter. Yes, I said butter. We are using butter. We're not making this healthy in any sense of the form, and I don't care because these cookies are that good. I've beaten it with 1/2 cup of confectioner sugar, powdered sugar, what you want to call it. And so that's been beaten together and really incorporated. And in here, I have a sifter, or you might have one of those squeezy things. I am going to sift, oh, this is new, a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. I always want mixed baking powder and make baking soda up, what they're called. I just know the one in the can and the one in the box. So I always double check before I start adding things in, because I don't know why I always mix those 2 up, but I do. And a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. That's a little bit too much, so do that, and then I'll take care of that later. And then I'm going to have 2 cups of flour. I have a giant flour bucket behind me. I love to bake. I really got into baking a couple years ago. My mom really didn't bake that much. I mean, aside from the occasional cookies and that kind of thing, but I forget how I got into it, actually. It started with baking breads. I have like a sourdough starter in my refrigerator, and I have to feed it once a week or so to keep it alive. And we're sifting these just to make them light and airy and that there's no clumps. Sometimes you get some flour that's kind of weird. Although I typically use King Arthur flour. It's very consistent in the kind of protein that it has in it, and so it makes a really great bread, and so I just use it for everything. And I have a 25-pound flour bucket, or it's a flour bucket that holds 25 pounds of flour. That's how much I was into baking at one point. But I find this time of year, it's, you know, you want to do these things with your kids, but it gets a little crazy, and you don't want too complicated of a recipe, because otherwise, you know, then your kids aren't really going to help you, because it's just, who has time for that? I have no artistic skills, and so cookie decorating does not work for me. So I am going to turn this on, and we're going to gently incorporate this mixture into the butter and the confectioner sugar. I'm going to do a little bit at a time, and I can probably turn that up a little bit. You don't want to overwork your butter. You want to keep it as cold as possible, but you also, you know, want it to be a little malleable. The colder it gets, or the colder that it is, the more, once it heats up, it'll melt evenly, and it comes out nice and beautiful. So you don't want to handle this too much, because then the warmth from your hands will just, you know, melt it, and then it's not a pretty sight. Now, while that's mixing together, I want to show you a trick. You know, like they tell you to put flour on your surface when you're rolling things out or shaping things? Well, since this is a cookie, I use confectioner sugar instead, because then it doesn't taste too floury and you end up with that chalky taste at the end. Nobody likes that at all. I don't. So, and then I also use it for my rolling pin, and I just do like so. And bring this all together really quick. sorry. So, now I have a nice soft dough that I'm going to take out. And what's another great thing about this cookie recipe in particular is that I know that our kids love to, lick the batter, and technically you're not supposed to do that because of eggs. This has no eggs in it, so you don't have to be like, oh, don't eat that, but here you go anyway. Does anyone really listen to that rule? I don't know. I know I probably don't, because who doesn't like good cookie batter, right? So I'm taking this out, and it forms a nice dough. Place it over there. And then this one's really easy. So notice I'm trying to handle it as little as possible. I'm making it into a disc, and then I'm going to roll it out to about 1/4 of an inch. And it's really not that terrible. And so because it doesn't have to be perfect, then this is really easy for your kids to do. It's not like pizza dough or something like that, or a pie dough that tends to stick. This just goes out really nice and easy. If you can get it into a square, that's great, because we're going to cut these into squares. But if not, it's really not the end of the world. It's just, oh, see, I spoke too soon. Sometimes it does like to stick. But that's what you put confectioner sugar on there for. And then I have one of these. They're about $5 at your local Bed Bath & Beyond. And I just cut out squares as best as possible. And they don't have to be perfect, but I'm kind of a perfectionist. And so I do as best I can. And then I can rework the dough. Now, if you find that you've done the dough a little too much and it's starting to get melty, then all you do is you wall it up into a ball and you put it in the refrigerator for a few minutes. So I have these really nice little squares, like so. And then you prick them with a fork. I think it's just traditional, but I think it also lets out some of the steam and that kind of thing, so your cookie doesn't get all soggy. So, nice little cookie. And you just put it on some parchment paper on its pan, and my oven's been heated to 350 degrees, and I think they take about 20 minutes. I'll double check on that recipe and post it above. But those are one of my favorite holiday cookies that we make this time of year. As you can tell, I just did it in less than 10 minutes. And, once this is all cut, it takes about 10 minutes, 15 minutes to make. And super easy. They make great gifts, and I love them. So I hope they become a part of your holiday tradition as well. And I hope you're having a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.